Hi everyone, it's Sean Murphy and welcome back to my channel. And today I'm going to teach you all about sighting. So what actually is sighting? This is a question that's been asked, well, certainly since I took up snooker. What does sighting mean? You hear so many different terms, ghost ball techniques, lines, points in pockets, points on the ball. Do you remember the old one in the snooker clubs used to be, well, you know, aim where the light reflects on the ball and you'll knock it in. I mean, these stories have just been told since, well, certainly since before I started playing snooker anyway. And as my friends keep reminding me, that's a long, long time ago. Hopefully in this video, I'm going to be able to teach you how I sight the ball. And it's important that, you know, from the outset, you understand that this isn't necessarily how everybody should do it. It might not be how anyone else does it. It's how I was taught to sight the ball. And don't get this confused with a previous video about potting points in terms of remembering full ball, half ball, quarter ball, three-quarter ball. This is different. That's a great piece of knowledge for you to put into your game so that when you learn how to sight the ball, when you become better at automatically recognizing potting angles, you've got them locked in, they're in your memory. And there's a separate video on that which you can go and have a look at any time. In this video though, I want to get into the nuts and bolts of how do you actually find the point on the object ball that you have to hit to put it in the pocket. Because if you can do that consistently and then hit this cue ball where you want to consistently and understand how it works on its way around the table, well then you could become a very, very good snooker player, pool player, anything you want. Anything on a table with cues and balls, you could become very dangerous at. Let's start with the simplest of shots, one of these straight reds into the corner pocket, just to try and keep things simple. Because on a straight shot, and certainly from close in behind, this should be about as easy as it gets. I've set the balls up in the T position, mainly so that they're easy for me to get and move the reds into positions as and when I need them, not because we're going to do the tee. I'm going to do everything from this perspective. You can see I've got the camera set up behind me because I want to be able to show you what I see as well. Now, again, let's go back to the start. See this all the time. How do you actually find out where you need to hit the object ball? And it's a bit like the mystical arts. Some players don't know. I've asked tour professionals how they would teach somebody to sight and aim the ball and been met so many times with the phrase that they simply don't know. They couldn't tell you how they do it. They've just do it and they've been doing it since they were a child and it's become probably habit more than anything. But I was taught to sight the ball this way. And remember, this is my way. It's not necessarily the best or the way you should do it, but give it a go. I start sighting the ball, I think perhaps in reverse, although for me it makes perfect sense. When I'm trying to decide where on that object ball I need to strike to put it in the pocket, I start in the pocket. Because as you'll know, the better you get, obviously the pocket is quite a big target. I'm not just trying to put the ball in the pocket. I'm trying to put it into a specific part of that pocket, depending on what I'm trying to do with this ball. I might try and hit this red straight into the back of the pocket and not touch either jaw. Or if I was trying to manipulate the cue ball in such a way, and there's another old phrase, pinch the pocket, and make an angle out of what looks like a straight shot, then I might choose to try and pop the red into one of the sides of the corner pocket. Now that means altering my aiming system. And if you've got an aiming system that you just use by habit, how do you do that? So I would start at the pocket. My sighting system, when I walk behind the ball, obviously now it's inbred, it's sort of in there now in me, I can't get out of it. But when I was taught how to sight the ball, the first place I look is the pocket. And I decide which part of that pocket I want the object ball to go into. And as I say, that's not always the, you know, mathematical middle, the center of the pocket. It usually is, but sometimes it's not. So for demonstration purposes on this shot, let's say that I am targeting the center of the pocket. I'm looking, what I see from my perspective is the netting of the pocket. You can see the diamond shapes in the back of the net. You've got the strip of leather that holds the netting and the pocket all together. And then you can see those stitched, well, it's stitching, it's stitched netting into that leather strip, which holds everything together. And I usually aim at one of those stitch points where the stitching actually has gone in. The table fitters have spent a long time putting those together. I actually use them more often than not as my target points. For this demonstration, I am going to aim slap bang in the middle of that pocket on that stitch. What happens to me then is that naturally sends a line in my mind's eye. What I see is a line shooting out from the back of the pocket straight through the middle of this ball. And that brings me to there. And I've been doing this since I was 8 years of age. Now, it also happens to be, coincidentally, if you're aiming in the middle of the pocket, it's also an easy way of finding it, in terms of finding where to hit the red, it happens to be the furthest part of the red from your target. It happens to be where you have to hit. So I know there that if I hit that point on that red, if I cover that point of that red with the cue ball at impact, that red will go straight in the middle of the pocket. I've looked at the middle of the pocket. That has in my mind's eye created a line that has led straight through the middle of that red. I then see what I refer to as the ghost ball technique. In my mind's eye, I see that cue ball at impact. That gives me the straight line back to where I start. I come in on that line. All I'm focusing on is that point on the red. And the red goes in the middle of the pocket. Now, that took a long time for me to get that. I've been playing the game for a long time, and that's a very, very simple shot. But let's run through that again. Obviously, it doesn't get any easier than this because this is straight and I'm only 18 inches or so from behind the ball. Start by looking at the pocket, decide where you want the ball to hit. That then tracks back through the object ball and gives you the contact point. Imagine the cue ball at impact. How much of the red would you be able to see when that cue ball is at impact? Well, because it's a straight shot, we know it's what we call a full ball contact. I'm imagining that cue ball at impact. I'll put this cue ball in for demonstration purposes so you can see what I'm imagining. That's that cue ball at impact. That's what I'm seeing in my mind's eye before I play the shot. We'll get that out of the way. Middle, through the middle of the red, through the middle of the cue. And that was centre of the centre. So that's how I do it. Now, once we move on to angled shots, for me all the same rules apply, but it does get slightly more difficult because you start mixing lines with balls. A straight line with a curved edge. They don't always go together. So there's some creativity needed here. There's some imagination. There's some practice. It's getting used to it. This now becomes what I would say is a 3/4 ball pot. Not straight, not half ball. Remember, half ball, we talked about in another video, is where the target is on the edge of the red through the centre of the cue ball. That wouldn't be the case here because you'd miss the red way over. Let's do the same again. I'm going to target straight in the middle of the pocket. There's a little gap between the two stitches. That's my target. Drag the line back to the red. That leads me to there. And that brings me to there. Mind's eye time. I see the cue ball at impact. That's the cue ball at impact covering the part of the red that my sighting system has told me I need to hit. So it's not half ball, it's about 3/4 ball, give or take. That's what I see in my mind's eye. I drag the line back from the pocket. That gives me the part of the red that I need to hit. I can see the cue ball hitting it. That gives me the line of attack here. couple of nice feathers, keep everything still. And you'll notice the red didn't go near either of the cushions by choice. I specifically aimed it to go bang in the middle of the pocket. Wouldn't it be great if you could do that every time? I can hear you saying it, don't worry. Now, as the angle gets a little bit thinner, as the angle gets wider, this gets slightly more difficult. You know, from a straight shot, that's pretty straightforward, no pun intended. 3/4 ball, now this is more of a half ball shot. Does the rule change? Absolutely not. Now, from this perspective, I have to aim the red at a slightly different stitch, because if I go at the stitch in the middle of the pocket, you know, you hear people say, well, aim for the middle of the pocket. Well, if I aim for the middle of the pocket from here, the right-hand cushion comes into play. So you have to aim for what we class as the open part of the pocket, the generous side of the pocket, which is the far knuckle. And I'm actually going to aim this one just inside where the leather and the cloth meet. So I'm actually not aiming this anywhere near the middle of the pocket. As I say, if I go too close to that right-hand jaw, the red won't go in. So I've selected my target. It's just inside where the slate and the cushion meet. It's more where that leather and the cushion start to touch, in there. Right in there is my target. And in my mind's eye, I see that line coming back to the object ball. Several hours in the club. Well, when I say that, I mean 7 hours a day for 25 years have given me the ability to see that. That is a perfect half ball shot. The line of aim brings me through the edge of the red, through the middle of that cue ball, back to the middle of my cue ball. That's what I see. That's how my targeting system has worked. My sight in all those hours spent learning how to do this has done that. I can see that line, and I'm just going to do the same again. Focus on that point on the red, nice on and off the cushion. And doesn't that just go to show? You can't ever take any of them for granted. I started focusing on position. You could hear me say, nicely on and off the cushion. I played it with a little bit of right-hand side, as I would always normally do for that type of shot, on and off the cushion. The cue ball pushed into the red, hit the red too thick. I missed my target. So it doesn't matter how good you are, doesn't matter how often you play, doesn't matter how easy you think this game is. If you take these shots for granted, it will come back and bite you. Let's have another go at that. Taking into account this time, unlike the other shots, I'm going to play position as well. So I'm going to factor in the fact that I'm going to play this with that right-hand side. I'm going to aim slightly thinner, more where the slate of the pocket hits the cushion, the curvature of that cushion. That's where I'm aiming, allowing for the side spin. I see that point of contact on the red. That tracks back to this cue ball. I come in on that line, got the little bit of side on, nice and easy. And in the red goes. Those of you who are watching closely will have seen that that red did just graze the near jaw there. Had I have been aiming for the middle of the pocket, that red wouldn't have gone in. Let's have a bit of a recap, because this is very important. If you're making notes, now's the time to take them. Full ball, you choose where you want to put the red in the pocket. You start there. I think that's a really good way of aiming. Choose your target first. Which part of the pocket do I want the object ball to go in? I then track back, I see that line through the object ball, and that generates my contact point. I then imagine the cue ball at impact covering that part of the red. We drag the ghost ball back in for demonstration purposes. You can see that there. That's where that cue ball has to hit that red to knock the red into the specific part of the pocket that I've chosen. That now gives me my line of my shot. I'm not bothered about that bit. I'm only bothered about getting this cue ball to where that cue ball is on that red. That's the only bit of the shot that I'm bothered about. So I'm sighting through the middle of the pocket, back through the middle of the red, and back through the middle of the cue ball. Nicely on line. Keep everything still. Thankfully, the red goes straight in the middle of the pocket. Sighting is one of the most important parts of the sport. Of course it is. Doesn't matter how good your cue action is or how good your bridge or your stance or your shot selection is. You've got a great ability to hit that cue ball in the correct place. But of course, if you're pointing it in the wrong direction, you can be as good as you want, but you're not going to improve. Having a reliable, consistent sighting technique will make this game a lot easier. You'll have a lot less stressful hours in the snooker club practicing. And I hope you found this video really, really helpful. You can go into this as deeply as you want to. You can make this subject as complicated as you want. And you know, there are lots of different ways, there are lots of different methods of doing this. But my intention with this video was to show you how I do it. That's what I see. And then with the good cueing and the good technique, you become as consistent as you can at striking that object ball exactly where you want to for your desired result. Guys, I hope you've enjoyed the video. Let me know, get stuck into the comments. Let me know, Sean, we think you're crazy. What are you talking about? Ghost balls, potting points in pockets. You've totally lost it. Or if you like it, let me know. Let me know if you have some success with it. And get stuck in as much as you can. I'm loving the interaction on the videos. Guys, subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. Get those notifications turned on so you don't miss more videos like this, where hopefully I'm going to unlock some tips of the trade with you, and I'll see you on the next video.